Welcome back to West London, and those blue skies you were talking about a moment there, so contrasting with the image you can see behind me on my left shoulder here. It really is a shocking image in broad daylight. You can see there's some smoke still emerging from what looks like the lower floors there and the charred remains of the tower block itself. Several things emerging this morning. One, of course, is the help and compassion of local people who've been, so many people rallying around here to help out those who've been caught in this crisis. But the other thing that is emerging is those messages. It's those who are missing and unaccounted for at the moment. That desperate situation people are in at the moment as they try and locate their loved ones. And you can see now a tribute wall, a remembrance wall, that's just around the corner from where we are now. Some very personal messages directly to individuals who clearly people know have been killed, and other messages just of support. And it's very moving standing there. Many people just walking along, adding their messages this morning. So let's move on to some of the more practical matters in connection with the building itself. I introduce you to Jeremy Leaf, who's a chartered surveyor, former residential chairman of the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors. Welcome to you this morning. I just thought, first of all, I mean, there are so many questions in relation to specifically to do with why the fire spread so quickly. Yep. Can you just give us your initial thoughts?
Well, first of all, obviously you think about the people, and then you think about the reason. Why did it start? Where did it start? How did it spread so quickly? What was the influence of this refurbishment work? What about the alarms and the sprinkler systems? And perhaps more important, what can we learn from it, and how quickly can we do it because of the other examples?
Already on the programme this morning, there are many people asking the questions about accidents like this, incidents like this have happened before. I call it an accident there. Some people are saying entirely avoidable, and suggesting that recommendations made from the incident back in 2009 in Southwark were not implemented. How could that be?
Well, fortunately, we don't see many accidents of this kind. It's not something to be congratulate ourselves about, but fortunately it doesn't happen. So something must be working right, but here something went dreadfully wrong. And was it one particular incident? Was it a combination of circumstances? We need to find out very, very quickly.
Jeremy, as we walked here today, and anyone who knows this area well, you look around and you have the charred remains of a tower block there, but if you turn if we just swing the camera around to our right here, you can see that building is replicated. I mean, there's two in shot here, and in many city centres across the UK, there are tower blocks very similar to this. How can anyone in those buildings have confidence in the building they're living in, bearing in mind what's happened here?
Well, I think sadly, when something like this happens, people look at the procedures affecting their own buildings, and they don't have to be as tall as that, Charlie. They can be a lot more modest, and they really start to think about what would happen if tragically similar circumstances arose. And that's the good thing in a way. Perhaps we look at those in a different way than we did before, and we try and learn very, very quickly from these mistakes.
Yes, and in terms of officialdom, we know that the groups connected with this building had raised fears previously, worries they had over a long period of time. They're saying they weren't listened to. I mean, there will be a full investigation. Do you think this time round that issues will be addressed properly? Because the concern is that the report comes out, people write the reams of material, and then nothing on the ground changes.
Well, it certainly shouldn't have spread in the way that it did. The idea of a fire in buildings like this is that if it starts in one building, it should stay there, and it should mean that it doesn't spread elsewhere, so that the fatalities and the casualties is kept to an absolute minimum. So that is the first point, certainly, and also, of course, the building work that's been done, as well as the design of the building, and whether that is appropriate now, given what's happened here, in the future.
Jeremy, thank you for your time this morning. Thank you very much. We'll be back here throughout the morning this morning. It's worth saying just after 8 o'clock we will be speaking to the fire service for any updates they have on casualties and the situation with the building itself. I'll hand you back to Steph now with the business news.